Hello and welcome. My name is Lee and I'm a software trainer at Omnitas. And today we are going to dig into cross-board automations, which use match recipes. So this is a new type of automation and it's still in beta. It's especially useful when you have separate boards tracking projects related to each other, or when you have items containing information relevant to items on other boards. So for example, if you had one board tracking projects and you had another board with contact information for different companies who were involved in those projects, you could ask them to match them together so that instead of switching between the two boards for the contact info, you could have that mirrored onto your project board. There's many possible use cases for this, but I hope that just by showing you a simple example, we can kind of get your imagination going and you can think of some ways that you might want to use this. So first, I want to demonstrate our options for cross-board automations with match recipes. So I'm going to share my screen. Cool. I hope everyone can see that okay. If you have any audio issues, if you have any visibility issues, please do write them in the chat and Julia or I will get to them. Okay, cool. So in order to get here to the Automation Center, we're going to click on this button in the right-hand corner, which says Automate, and there's a cute little drawing of a robot here. And then we're going to click, we could click, for example, on Templates, and then in the search button, in the search bar, we can type match. Cool. And so we have two different options here under status change or under item creation. So we can either connect a new item based on matching the value in that new item to the column in another board. So the version that we're currently using is a status column. And I will just demonstrate that. So for our example, we're using a status column here. So when this status changes, we're going to connect that item where the new value matches the status in the secondary board. And this match recipe is affected by two column values, this column and the other column. The other possibility, and I'll go back to that match under status change. So please note these are brand new automations. You can say beta, beta, beta. This might change. Hopefully it'll improve over time. By the time you watch this video, maybe it's changed a little bit. Our other option is when the column changes, we connect the item where this column matches another column in another board. And the by this logic is either overwriting the new matched item or adding a new matched item. Don't worry about this too much right now. We'll discuss it later. But I just want to point out that the other option involves 3 status columns. And the first involves 2. And today we're only going to talk about the version that is affected by the status change. We could also use item creation, but I just want to keep this relatively simple. So we're only talking today about the status change. Cool. So let me explain our use case. So our use case is retail. We're an online retail company and we're selling a very small number of items. I will just show you our inventory board. So you can either buy a bicycle, a helmet, or a set of pedals from us. Really, really simple. Of course, this could be applied to many other examples, but this is just an example to get your imagination going. And our inventory stock, remaining stock is calculated by having the original number, which we've bought. This is a numbers column and a formula column here to subtract the number that have been ordered from the original stock, giving us our remaining amount. And here is where it's linked to our order requests board. And here's where the number of items ordered is added up so that it's removed from the original stock. But the majority of our automations are happening in our order requests board. which is here. So when an order is put in for an item in our order requests board, we want this to connect to our inventory board, and we want the inventory board to be updated so we know how much stock remains. So this is being facilitated through a match automation recipe. Our order requests board has a status column for the type, and this is matching the items in the inventory board. So you can see we have a bicycle, we have a helmet, or we have pedals. And we also have a number column to say how many of this item does this person want to order. Then we have a connection to the inventory statistics board where bicycle is linking to bicycle, helmet is linking to helmet, pedals are linking to pedals, and so on. Meanwhile, on our inventory board, each item is representing a type of thing that can be ordered, and exactly the same, we have a status column labeled type, which says bicycle for bicycle, helmet for helmet, and pedals for pedals. So this might seem a little bit redundant that we have that label both here in the status column and here in the item, but this is really key because the connection with the other board is through the status columns. So this needs to say bicycle just the same as the order in the order request column needs to also say bicycle in the statuses. Otherwise, Monday is not going to understand that these two things are linked. So I will just show you the automation we're using to connect the both of them. So I'll click on automate. Cool. So when type changes, connect the item where the new value matches that same type in the inventory board by adding a new matched item. So for example, let's say somebody fills out our form and they say, my name is Lee, and I would like to buy a helmet, and I would like to buy 2 helmets. So I will submit this. Cool. Here's helmet. Here's the number of helmets I want to buy. I've said Lee here. So this is my 9th order. You could put whatever you wanted in here. You could put names. You could put order numbers. Doesn't really matter. The connection is created by changing this status. So it is also possible to create that connection or to trigger that automation by the creation of an item. But like I said earlier, we're only looking at the trigger the status change. So I'm going to just change this helmet to blank and then back to helmet. And that will automatically connect us to helmet in the other board. The connection is here. The number is here. And then when I go into our other board, inventory statistics, we can see helmet, helmet, and it's added the order Lee. Great. So it subtracted that from it subtracted the number of ordered items from that of the original stock. And now we have the number of remaining helmets. Please let me know if I'm going too fast and I will happily slow down. Cool. So now I'm going to show our second example. So I just want to explain that we have another board, and it's called the packing crew board. This is a kind of doesn't make sense if I am both ordering the helmets and packing them, but you'll have to just suspend your disbelief for now. So in this case, this is going to operate in a parallel way to our inventory board. So when an order is ready to be shipped, we're going to assign it to a person who's going to pack the order, and we want to keep track of how many orders are assigned to each person, and maybe also we want to see like how close are they to being done, what is still outstanding. And you'll notice that here the item name is the name of the person, and then that's matching the person assigned in the people column. So Lee is linked to Lee, Curran is linked to Curran, and Robbie is linked to Robbie. Okay, cool. We also have a connect boards column linking back to the requests. So if I go back to our order requests, I'm going to show you the automation which connects us to the people who are packing. So in this case, the automation is when person changes, connect the item where the new value matches person in packing crew by this logic. And in the previous example, the logic was adding new match item. But in this case, I am choosing the other option because I want to show you the different possibilities. And in this case, the logic is going to be overwriting the new match item, which is to say that if I originally assigned Curran to pack an order, but then I decide actually Robbie's going to pack it instead, I don't want this to be assigned to both Robbie and to Curran. When I assign Robbie to it, I want it to be removed from Curran's list entirely, and I want the connection to be replaced by the new connection. So I'll just demonstrate that. So we have an order, and we're going to assign it to a person. So just because it doesn't make any sense, I'm going to assign my own request to myself. So here I am connecting Lee to Lee. There we go. Now it automatically connects to Lee in the packing crew board. So now if I go to packing crew, you can see that my order, which is labeled Lee, has turned up on my own list of things to do. So I'm going to pack the helmets and ship them to myself. I'm creating the business I need, I guess. And now we're going to test the overwriting function. So I'll go back to my order requests, and let's say actually I don't want to pack this. I'm going to assign it to someone else. This should remove the prior connection, and this should add the new person, and it shouldn't go onto both of our lists. It should just be replaced by the new connection. So I'm going to remove myself. Cool. Notice that Lee still stays there. The connection between this order Lee and the person Lee remains until I assign the new person. So let's say assign Robbie. There. Fantastic. So it's removed the connection Lee and it's added the connection Robbie. So it's not going to end up on both of our list of responsibilities, which would not work very, very well. So this is only one of so many different ways you could use this type of automation, but I'm really excited about it. It's a new automation, and I'm excited to see what people think of using it for. So I'm just going to check if we have any questions. Okay, so we have a question. Is this just for retail, or do you think other businesses could use this type of board? I'll stop screen sharing for a minute. So I think lots of industries could use this board. You could use it for so many different things. I think the example I gave earlier was that if you had one board for contact information and you had one board for projects, and so you have a contact board with different clients and the different phone numbers and emails, and then you have a project board, and those projects are linked to different clients. You could use a match automation to connect the two so that their email addresses are mirrored from the contact info board onto the project board, and you don't have to switch back and forth between the two. There's all sorts of relevant information that you might want to be able to view on both. And it's really handy to have it automatically connected and to not have to do it manually. I mean, you could also use this for IT requests. Let's say people put in a request. They say, I need a projector for a presentation. You could keep track of how many projectors you have that are being lent out and who they're being lent out to. Essentially, this just limits the repetitive work that you have to do with checking information in multiple sources. I think we don't have any other questions. Cool. So thank you so much for learning with me about match automation recipes. I hope you feel better equipped to use them in your workflow. So if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments below. It might seem intimidating or complicated, but we are definitely on hand to give you support. So please reach out to us for a consultation. To make sure that you don't miss any of our newest blog articles, videos, and events, please sign up for our monthly newsletter using the link below. You can also book me for private training sessions. If you want more of these videos, please like and subscribe to the Omnitas channel. Take care till next time. Do good work and keep in touch. Take care.